Hello, so babe, welcome to day 9 of Journal Back to Your Soul. How are you feeling? How's been this whole experience for you? I know it has called me to step out of my comfort zone as a guide for you and as having to face my fears too, because I've had to face my fears of being seen. But I know in my soul that this is what I needed to do um to share my own light and to inspire each and every one person who's coming through to this transmission to also ignite that light and to remember that you're not your fears and the thoughts that are pulling you into the corner, you can roll back, okay? You're much bigger than them. And those thoughts, they're just on your team. Remember that every negative thought, every criticism you get, it's on your team is to help you to remember who you are. Because when you remember who you are, all these, they're just details, they're contrast to the truth, right? So today I wanted to talk about fears. And there's 6 different kinds of fears based off Think and Grow Rich, according to Napoleon Hill. And I'm going to read them to you right now. And just register which fear um, triggers you the most, right? So the first one is fear of poverty. The second one is fear of criticism. The third one is fear of ill health. The fourth one is loss of love of somebody, right? Loss of love of someone. 5 is the fear of old age. And 6 is the fear of death, right? So just register in your body, like, okay, for me, fear of losing my loved ones is probably the number 1. Number 2, fear of poverty. Girl wants to live her dream life. I need money to survive in this world. 3, fear of old age, youth and childlike existence. It's valued, and it's something that with time, it seems that we lose, the beauty and the naivete, like all the innocence and the youthfulness, right? There's so much value that goes on that because it's something on the outside we tend to lose with time, right? The human cycle. But when you bring awareness to your fears, you start to have a relationship with them. You're not allowing the fears to project their own their frequency on you, because if you forget who you are and these fears roar at you, right, your whole day is ruined, right? You could have had a nice day, enjoyed the weather, enjoyed your water, enjoyed your food, giggled on the internet here and there, shared a giggle with a stranger. But because that fear it's like a cloud over you, right? And every interaction you have, you're seeing it through the fear. You're like, oh my gosh, how am I gonna figure this out? Oh my gosh, I feel awful. Oh my gosh, like you're under the constant cloud of fear of your current fear, right? So for example, the fear of poverty, how could you interact with that? Okay, I'm fearful of not being able to pay my bills on time. I'm fearful of um not not aligning with the Jonases, right? What would other people perceive me as like a poor man, or a poor man, poor woman, or how would I pay for my children's dream school, right? These are all thoughts that are flooding in, like, oh my gosh, I have lack, like it's focusing on lack. But as Neville, I'm using Neville Goddard. I love Neville Goddard. You guys need to look him up. But as Napoleon Hill says, poverty is a state of mind. So when you continuously feel you're fearful, right? You're like scared of, like, oh, I don't want to lack. I don't want to lack. Guess what? That's the experience that you're actually experiencing right here, right now, right? But instead, when you register, you're like, I noticed, like, oh, I'm afraid that how am I gonna afford that? They're like, you know what? I always get what I want. Even if right now, if I don't get it, I can always come back and get it. Money flows around me continuously. And then your mind would try and bring back a memory of the past where that wasn't true, right? Because it loves to do that. And it wants to keep you in the same position. It wants your mind, your body is created in a way that it wants to protect you, right? So work with it. You're gonna dance with it. You're like, hey, I know you're trying to protect me, you're trying to keep me in the same position, but we've outgrown that. And I'm aware that these fears, they're like a stop sign to say, hey, hun, no, no, right? But when you start having your relationship with your fears and start coming from a place of understanding, from a place of cherishing yourself, appreciating yourself, and not from a place of like beating them up, they simmer down with time, right? Because now you're having a relationship with your inner being. You're being really emotionally there for yourself. And a lot of us, okay, I won't say a lot of us, some people are lucky enough to not have to numb their emotions, to have a healthy relationship with their emotions. I grew up in a household where my emotions weren't valid. So right now I'm in a position where I'm having to relearn what certain emotions mean in my body. What and that it's okay not to run away from emotions, like we feel like a certain overwhelm of our own emotions or even other people, and we feel so uncomfortable, right? But being okay to hold that kind of emotion in your body and let it simmer down without you reacting, without you panicking, right? Self-regulating your body. If you can find tools, there's so many on the internet, breath work, right? And if you're signing up for my Seventh Heaven or El Dorado coursework that are coming in next month and February. I'm so excited. It's out of my comfort zone right now, but it needs to be done. We need to shine the light and remind people who they are. We are so many people in the darkness, living in the darkness as a normal state of being, and they've been doing it for so long that they, each and every one of us has a reason why we're on earth. Okay. And there's gonna come a time in life where your soul is gonna call you to step forward. And you're gonna feel like, man, like I don't have the right skills, I don't have the right experience, but your heart is telling you that this is where you need to be. You need to give back. And everyone's gonna tell you that you're wrong. Your mind is gonna tell you like, oh, you're gonna be a failure. It's gonna give you 101 reasons why you're gonna fail. It's gonna keep recycling the memories of why you're a failure, why you're a loser, right? But in that moment, right, you keep going back to the inner voice. You keep going back to the inner voice. And one day you're gonna be tired of all the BS, of all the fears being projected to you. You're gonna roll back so loud, you're gonna be like, whoa, is that me? Right? But remember that when you grow, we're human beings. We find fulfillment in expansion, right? In growth, in stepping out of our comfort zone, in meeting parts of ourselves we never knew really existed. We find fulfillment in serving using what we know, using our God-given talents, right? Making life better for other people, right? So when you tap in and have a true relationship with yourself, and really start to listen to the voice inside and not listen to the voices out there, because the voices out there are always gonna trick you and want you to not believe in yourself, to not trust yourself, to not trust your the conversations you're having with the universe, with God, with your higher self, with the big you, not the small you. Small you wants to keep you small. Big you is like, come on, we got this. I know you don't know what's going on. You're fearful. You're entertaining this thought. It's okay. You keep failing. You're not failing. You're now more aware of the habits that are not aligning with the life that you want. So the more you fail, the more consistently you show up. You're like, oh, I noticed a pattern. Okay, so the pattern is coming from this. Oh, it's from this problem. Oh, this habit started because, oh, I was escaping from my childhood, right? It's like you're continuously mapping within yourself and like having a genuine relationship with yourself and not bringing yourself down even when you find these awareness. You're choosing to unconditionally love yourself. But in choosing to unconditionally love yourself, you're also choosing to adopt better habits aligned with your future self because you know, like you're outgrowing this small version of you, right? So all you can do is take one final look and hug all parts of you that feel unloved, that feel unworthy of the new life that you're calling in, right? And continuously being present with yourself, with your breath, because you notice when you're living in your mind, when you stop breathing, right? You're like, right, you're in survival mode. But when you release, right, when you start breathing, when you start noticing your body, right, you start shifting your body. When you start being more present and more intentional with your movement, right, you bring presence, you bring your life force back. Because without your breath, you're not existing, right? That's when people die, it's like they take one last breath and it's out, right? So your breath is what's going to connect you to your life force, to your soul, to your being. So please don't forget to breathe. I could take my own advice too, but yeah, this will be a mirror for me. Okay, so that's the first fear of first fear, poverty. The second one is fear of criticism, right? I think I touched on this a little bit. But when you're fearful of what other people think and you're putting how other perceive you on a pedestal, guess what? You're literally putting a leash on yourself. I love this this description because I feel like it just um it drives down the message, the truth about your existence. When you continuously worry about how other people perceive you, what other people are saying about you, in the free time, you're wasting your energy and your time disempowering yourself because you're saying that they're right, I'm wrong, right? You're saying that they're better than I am. You're saying that you're separating yourself from your truth, right? Because think about it, every time you hear your inner critic coming in, right? Inner critic coming in, and well, the more you focus on the inner critic, do you notice like you are around more people who are critical of everything that you're doing? You can't even share your dreams without somebody sharing the criticism why it's not gonna work, why you're gonna fail, why you're in the wrong thing, right? And the truth is everybody's always gonna have something critical to say about something because the inner critic, your inner critic is always there. It's not going anywhere, right? So just know how to create boundaries around that and always create space between the voice within and the voice outside so that you can move different. You don't take anything personally because people are always going to have an opinion about whatever, no matter whether you're winning or not. People are always going to have something to say about it. So it's your job to make your home, your being so strong that people's criticism, people's opinions are just like this. Even when someone compliments you, you're just like, oh, thank you. But you know it. You know you're the ish. Well, maybe once in a while we forget and we need somebody to wake us up like, hey, you're the ish, okay? You're the ish, not is, okay? You're the ish, not is. Let me remind you, I had to say that 3 times. You are. And the fact that you're listening to that little voice in there, the inner critic, that I don't know where it stemmed from, but we're here for a human experience. So we welcome it. It's on our team. Okay. We're winners. We use well everything that we have to our advantage. We're creative. And this is why your perspective with life, that's where your power is. It's all about how you interact with life, what you assume about yourself right now. because everything stems from within, because you're making marriages, you're making uh commitments with thoughts, you're making commitments with how you view yourself, you're making commitments with how things are going to turn out for you, right? So it's a matter of disassociating from the past version of you. Okay, I feel like that's a bad word, because the past versions of yourself will always be a part of you. You know, you heal them, you alchemize them, you recreate the story and reintegrate them into your being. But that's another video. But when you separate from your past version of yourself, the version of you that engaged or saw or had a relationship with self, right? The inner self in a specific way. When you disassociate from that version of you, from those habits, it's easier for you to recreate a newer version of you who has a healthier habit, who sees self in a better, more empowering version of you. Because if you keep seeing yourself through the same lens of the old version of you, who was like, who trusted the inner critic, who put other people's opinions on a pedestal, who felt disempowered, who didn't have sales, who didn't sell anything, who people didn't like hanging out with. If you keep seeing yourself through those lens, you're not gonna believe it. So you need to leave this mask, this being, this way of looking and interacting with life, right? And adopt the one and recreate a different mask from scratch, right? So that you can empower, awaken, and uplift yourself, considering where you are right now. Because I can give you what's working for me, and other social media gurus or masters or whatever you want to call them, they will tell you what's working for them. But we can only do so much justice to let you know that it's okay, that it's all rigged in your favor, that it's you're the one who's holding yourself back. We can only do so much justice. You gotta go to your own state of being, to your own consciousness, and say, okay, now I'm unavailable to see myself in this way. Now I'm unavailable to have these experiences. Now I'm unavailable to assume this about life, right? So it's like it's a devotion within self. You're the, like Beyonce said, you are the, what did she say? She said you're the holy grail, you're the living word, right? You're the living word. You're writing your story right now, your being, right? So when you're attaching yourself to assumptions, to thoughts, you're literally writing that script in your life book, wherever it's writing, right? However you'd like to see that, whether it's in heaven or whatever, in a portal somewhere, I don't know. But you're literally writing your story right now. So you can let your failures, right? Because the mind loves to remind you of those, like, like this, like, oh, your failures, this is the reason why you're not gonna win, because of all these reasons, right? But when you come back continuously to yourself and say, hey, the fact that I'm showing up, the fact that I'm here because my inner voice, my inner being wants to be here, my inner voice knows that I'm worthy of a better life. You keep coming back stronger and stronger, and let those voices work with you. Those voices, those naysayers, those inner critics, let them empower you. Let them motivate you to roar, to break free, right? Because all these voices, they just want to keep you like this. But when you're like, I'm tired of your BS, right? I'm tired of your BS. You're just like, your embodiment is different, because you're awakening to your truth. You're awakening to your I am, right? You're separating yourself from the story. You're tired of your own BS, of like, just like chilling in the darkness and letting the darkness tell you what's up. No, hon, you're the light. You're the leader. You're the captain of this ship. So come on, giddy up. Let's go, right? So the third one is the fear of ill health. We all have this. Like when we notice something, like, oh, my stomach is acting funny, or something is off about me, and already we're projecting fears, we're thinking of symptoms, or going on the internet and all our fears, because this is how reality is. All your fears, you start attracting things through social media, through um conversations. People start mentioning all your fears, right? Because you're projecting it, you're fearful, you're looking for it, you're looking for the symptoms, right? So be aware of how your fears make you do certain things. Like, are you doing this out of love or out of fear, right? And also always remember too that your body is self-healing. It's a matter of whether you're gonna let it heal and believe in your own power of your body, right? Eating right. I could do better too. Drinking water, eating things that your soul's like, yes, right? Yummy food, soulful food. Think of food from your childhood. Think of food like, for me, the thing that really does so much for my soul, my heart when I eat it, it's acai bowl. Man, it changes my mood. I could be having the worst day and I eat an acai bowl. Man, I can start a revolution and end it in like 2 seconds. That's how I feel. So you have your own dish that makes you feel like, wow. It could be a smoothie, it could be a soup, it could be just like something good for the soul, right? Start there and then start making it nutritious. Start going out in nature. Start making it normal to look after your body, look after your being, right? We do a lot of things that where we're habits that let us know subconsciously that we're not worthy, that we're a piece of S, right? Like, we're not worthy of a good life, we're not good of health, we're not worthy of well-being. Subconsciously, like when you're buying this food where you don't even know where it's coming from, or you're eating ingredients that you can't even pronounce, stuff like that. And I know I can hear some voices through the screen saying that, oh, I can't afford it. Well, okay, this is where you are, right? But be open to expanding towards healthier foods. Be open to expand towards receiving free, healthy food, right? Because a lot of people, there's shame around receiving from others. You're like, oh, they're giving me because they want something in return. No, let life love you. You're worthy of people just giving you things, of giving you money just because. You're worthy of it, right? You're worthy of a peace of mind, waking up every morning and just being connected to life, not worrying about bills, not worrying about your next meal. You're worthy of that. It's your birthright. But you have to make the choice to align with thoughts that align with that truth. Because if you attach yourself with thoughts that are fearful, yes, it might be true for you right now. Of course, don't bypass it. Acknowledge it. But say, hey, acknowledge you. This is how you're feeling right now. But we're creating better. So it's okay, and it's all well. Trust me, trust life. And then start focusing on what's going right. Because the moment you start focusing on things that are going wrong and all the failures, you're building a momentum of thought towards that, to create and open that portal of experience. But you want to open a portal of experience that aligns with expansion, feeling joyful, feeling healthy, right? So pay attention to that. Okay, the fourth one is loss of love of someone. So I don't know whether Napoleon wanted to okay. I see. So loss of love of loved one. Um Fear of losing, of being broken up with, fear of dating and someone saying they don't want you, rejection, right? Um that's how I'm seeing it. Fear of loss of love, fear of loss of love of someone. That's how I'm seeing it. If you guys can deep dive into it, it's Napoleon Hill, chapter 15, Think and Grow Rich. He talks about how to outwit the 6 ghosts of fear. And right now I'm reading the 4th one, which is the loss of love of someone. And I'm trying to figure out whether it's rejection or fear of actually losing them to dying. But I know the 6th one is death, so I'm gonna leave that for that one. But fear of loss of some fear of loss of love of someone. There's so many offs in there. Yeah, rejection and being rejected, fear of, nobody wants to be rejected. Like even when you date or when you're getting to know somebody, you're already projecting fear. You're projecting like, man, how are they gonna hurt me? How are they gonna see my BS and see like, oh, they don't want to be my friend, right? Like when you hang out with really cool people and you're like, man, these people are awesome. These people love themselves. They know who they are. They're making an impact in the community. They're making an impact uh in their lives. They're just awesome people. And already your mind is racing like, man, I'm not enough. Or what if they see me, they see that I'm not doing anything, I'm not making an impact in my community? What if they see that I don't have enough money in my bank account? Like what if they see that I have all these bad habits, all these shadows? What if they find someone better than me? All these thoughts that just keep just empowering ourselves in each passing moment, right? So of course I'm grateful that Napoleon Hill put these in there so that we connect with our humanness. All these fears, we all experience them all the time, right? But when you're aware, like, okay, I'm interacting with this person, I'm probably putting them on a pedestal because I'm fearful of A, B, C, D, right? Or it will invite you to have a better relationship with yourself, to trust yourself more, because when you're constantly fearful of other people leaving you, that means that, hey, I have abandonment issues, right? So it's always an opportunity to dig deeper in who you are and in your own wounds and in your own trauma. And in that way, you can connect with people even deeper because you're aware of your own walls, right? You're aware of your walls. And when you're aware that you've got walls, right, you have the option of whether you're going to keep those walls on or you're going to open them up so you have a more deep, enriching, fulfilling relationship, right? And all of us want a fulfilling life. That's the truth. That's why we keep searching, we keep numbing because we want to feel something in here, right? But when we notice that when we dig deeper in ways that we're running away from having fulfilling relationship, fulfilling life. Like, oh, I'm fearful because of my past. I'm fearful because of my trauma. I'm fearful because this is what society's saying about the dating pool right now, right? Stuff like that. When you're aware, like, okay, I'm projecting, society's projecting, but you're aware that this is what I really want. I want a fulfilling relationship. I want someone to love me deeply for who I am, right? You're honing back. You're like going back to the source. Like, okay, how can I give this to myself? How can I love myself fully for who I am and devote to me so that when that person comes, I'll register. I'll be like, oh yeah. You're in this for the long game because you're on that frequency already. So anybody who comes in and they're not on that frequency, you notice it and you're unbothered by it because you already are giving yourself that kind of love to yourself. So when the other person comes in, it'll be like overflowing. It'll be like, I'm so silly, guys. Ah, I love you. Anyway, yeah, think about that, right? And then the fear of old age. We all have that, especially for women, right? We are told that our worth is based off on our looks, even with men too, like with your six pack, macho, what. With women, like you gotta keep youthful, and there's nothing wrong with that, with beauty, with self-adorning yourself, looking after the body that houses your soul. There's nothing, painting your nails, looking youthful, looking nice, right? And we're always attracted to people who take care of themselves, people um who take time and the intention to embody their soul, to embody their leadership, right? We're always gravitating towards people who smell nice, people who look great and whatnot, right? So of course, when you're seeing yourself in your worst in the mirror and you're seeing other women who are older, right? We all do this. It's not just me. And I'll be the first to say it if nobody else has ever said it. But I'm being honest, right? When you see older women, you're like, man, like, damn, like, this is where my life is going. I'm going to have wrinkles. I'm going to, look undesirable. I'm going to look like that. These are the thoughts that are coming up. Let's be genuine, right? These are the thoughts that are coming up. Okay. All right. I'm afraid of growing old. Okay. Well, is this something I can control? Yeah, I can control my assumptions about my process of aging, because clearly it's inevitable that life, the circle of life, this meat suit, it's temporary. So of course it's gonna age with time, right? But what can I do to uh to allow me to fall in love with my aging process, to slow it down, to assume that I'm always gonna look beautiful no matter where I am at life, and that I'm gonna be so in love with myself, and my honey is gonna be so in love with me no matter where, because our connection is so deep and so fulfilling, because we're watching each other grow older as our love for each other grows older, because it's so deep, it's not surface deep, right? So you even feel more secure in your relationship because you know that you're on that frequency, or your love is on that depth, right? So you need to start within yourself to say, hey, like, what's my relationship with my cycle of death, right? Where am I? What do I want my life to mean? How do I see myself as a 50-year-old? Do I see myself as like miserable like that? Or do I see myself as like youthful, flexible, demolishing all those ageism limitations? Like, think about that. Start having a healthy relationship with your own wiser, older version of you, because it's inevitable, right? We can do all first care we want. We can stay out of the sun all we want, but it's inevitable. And some of us are lucky enough to die before we even get older, right? But the fear is still there. So, and this fear also opens up the opportunity to connect with older, wiser people too, because a lot of us, because we're so fearful of aging, right? We don't want to associate with them. We don't want to stay away from that imagination, right? But when you acknowledge your fears and still choose to connect with older, wiser people, you're gonna gain so much wisdom from them, because we don't know everything. I've walked my path the way I have, but the souls that have lived here longer, twice, three times as much as I have. So even their failures can speak through me, and they can guide me. I can find the jewel I've been looking for, to overcome this mountain, right? So the jewels are always in somebody. They're not always within you. You have to connect with people and really resonate and humble yourself and face your fears, right? So these jewels are given to you, right? And sometimes that it's not one, sometimes it's like a handful of them, right? And that would change the way you interact with life, how you see life. It'll expand you, it'll free you, right? Think about that. And then the last one is death. Of course, everyone's fearful of losing loved ones to death, right? And also losing your own relationship with your inevitable end. Like, what is gonna happen afterwards, right? I had to face my own fear when I was caregiving. I think that was a couple years ago. I don't know, a while back. I was caregiving, and I saw this man's spirit soul live. Literally, I saw him take his last breath. It was like and it was like white smoke. And you can watch, it's on YouTube. I uploaded how my whole experience with watching someone take their last breath and watching the soul leave their body. That whole experience, how it awakened me to like not to live small, not to live in fear, not to live uh fearful of tomorrow, not living fearful um of like the limitations that society places on us. Just living fully, because I don't know when I'm gonna die. I don't know when you don't know when you're gonna die. I don't know when my loved ones are gonna die. You don't know when your loved ones are gonna die. And that's the truth of the reality. And when you when you come to terms with that, you prioritize certain qualities of conversations, right? Mental arguments that will simmer down because you're like, you know what, this life is temporary. Why am I creating negativity when I could be using that energy to create my dream life, right? Or you could notice that the quality of your relationships that you allow into your life are different. You're like, okay, I'm not going to prioritize on the past. I'm going to focus on actually getting to know what makes this person tick, what they are on about, right? Because on your deathbed, um, the last thing you want to have is regrets. On my deathbed, I'll be like, man, I did everything. Yes. Okay, let's go on to whatever this end is. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I've done everything I wanted in this lifetime and I'm fulfilled. I'm grateful for life. Thank you for life. I've lived life fully, right? The last thing on your deathbed, you don't want to be thinking about like, man, I should have pushed harder. I should have taken more risk. I should have gone for that opportunity. I should have spoken to that girl. I should have asked for his number, stuff like that. We're like, man, I really lived small. I really lived in the footsteps of my small self. I want to live in the footsteps of my big self. Even when those failures come, they're not really failures. They're proof that I showed up, right? You need proof every time, everywhere you go, that you showed up. If you don't have proof, you have no substance. You have nothing to fall back on to say, hey, at least I showed up. You have nothing to alchemize on, right? Because alchemy works when you have something to work with, right? You need something to work with. You can't just alchemize nothing, right? But with coming to terms with your own death and the death of your loved ones, you realize that you need fulfilling relationships. You don't want this shallowness, this egoistical experiences. You want something that's heart-based. You want something that means something, right? Because it's inevitable. We don't know when we're gonna die. And the last thing you want is like someone dies and you're like, man, I never really truly knew them. I never really knew who this person was. And you feel like, man, I wasted a possible great connection, right? So yeah, those are the 6 fears that Napoleon Hill says are the most common. Well, those are the 6 brackets of fears, according to him. So it's coming from Napoleon Hill, so it has to be the truth, right? But I like to use that as a reference point to connecting with our own fears, our own emotions, our own inner critic, because the shadow self loves using fears to keep us stuck. But when you're aware of your own connection, your own relationship with your own fears, when that happens, you'll come from a place of empowerment because you're like, oh, I see what's happening here. You just keep trying to keep me small because this is all you know. This is all the resources, the knowledge that you've acquired in this lifetime. And this is all you know. But it's okay. This is what I'm calling in. And for me to actually experience this, I need to expand. I need to get out of my comfort zone. I need to be uncomfortable. I need to enter in an uncharted territory, right? And a lot of people are going to tell me, like, naysayers, it's normal, right? Because when you don't have people telling you that you're on the wrong track, when you don't have any pushback, how are you going to grow as a being? How are you going to grow as a leader? How are you going to grow? How are you going to grow your mindset? Because have you noticed, like, even with I love seeing people's growth, like people who are like celebrities, because no one is supposed to be on a pedestal. Okay, well, all the same, these are just people who decided to be seen. They decided that their soul wanted to be seen by millions of people, right? That was their dream and they made it happen. Anybody can have that reality if you want. If you want to give up off your freedom to have a private life and just have everybody tap into your life like that, anyone has that accessible. But I love seeing the growth of artists when they start like from the ground zero, like the embodiment, it looks different, right? Because they had to face so many mountains, they had to face so many failures that we probably don't even know about, right? Maybe health issues, maybe losing loved ones, or maybe potentially losing loved ones. That's fear. That's so many issues, right? It may be their own personal health problems, their own inner inferiority, like feeling inferior, right? I was trying to do that whole word, but it didn't work out. But like we don't know what people are dealing with unless we go into their psyche and be there with them. And that's why you're going to be the strongest person you need to be on your team. So let all these negativity that are coming up, let them empower you, let them wake you up so you can roar back and remind the world who you are. All right. So congratulations on finishing day 9. Journal back to your soul. I'll see you on the other side.